How's it going, everybody? Today I'm going to take mixed liquor at work. Basically the mixed liquor represents how much bugs you have in your system. We just got our digesters redone, so we haven't been able to waste for a while. We wasted a little bit too much last week, and what we're going to do now is we're just basically checking to see if the bugs are coming back. They're growing back because we over wasted a little bit. We got a little antsy with our waste pumps. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a mixed liquor sample, and then we're going to check it for solids. So where my mixed liquor is coming from, and don't mind the rags, it's a little bit messy here. Basically this is my surface aeration right here. This is adding water so that the bugs can breathe while they eat. And then after they're done eating, they're gonna overflow here, and just, again, if you can see that here, it's just gonna flow in here. From here, it's gonna come this way, and it's gonna come right into this tank over here. And this is like kind of our selector channel. So we have two clarifiers, secondary clarifiers. This gate controls one, this gate controls the other. So this is gonna split the flow evenly between this gate here and that gate there. I got a little cup here. I got a MacGyver sample stick, some zip ties in a bottle, camera, and pour sample. There it is. Just needed to choke up on the bat a little bit. So I got my mixed liquor sample right here. It's nice and brown. You can see it already starting to coagulate and settle out. Whenever you take a mixed liquor sample, you're going to want to check the settleability of your bugs as well. So basically what you do is you pour a liter into a cylinder, and there's measurements on the cylinder, and how deep it settles out is how good you're settling, basically. So I got my settleable right here. You can see here that we're right at about, I don't know, 14-15%. Looks pretty good. It looks pretty clear. I mean, your water quality up here, very clear. My cylinder itself is pretty dirty, but if I come up here, you can see that's pretty clear water right there down to the bottom. Something that you do, you want to let that settle out for about a half an hour, give or take. You know, some people have it settle out for an hour. It all depends on the detention time of your clarifiers. Starting to rain, so I'm gonna hurry up and get this done. So I'm gonna take this filter pad here. You notice that there's a fuzzy side and a not fuzzy side. For whatever reason, we always use the fuzzy side. Don't ask me why. I don't really know why. I'm assuming that it filters better if you pull it through that way. So basically, I'm just going to take it. I'm going to put it on my scale. I'm going to see what the weight is in grams there. I'm going to take a note of that. And I will cook this off. Well, I'll take a measurement of it, and then I'm going to bring it over to the next step. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to take the weight of the filter paper and subtract that from the weight of the sludge, and then that's basically going to tell us how many grams of sludge that we have, and that way we can further calculate that down to milligrams per liter, and then we'll be able to use milligrams per liter as a way to measure basically how much mixed liquor we have in our system, kind of standardize out everything. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to walk it over here. I'm going to, in my filter, which is a little dirty, it needs to be clean, but this is actually the second time I've done this today. I was doing this and I was like, hey, this is a really good idea for a video. So then I did it for the video as well. I'll clean this out later. I'm going to turn on the vacuum. So this is going to suck on that filter pad. I'm going to spray a little bit of distilled water here. Not tap water or anything like that, because we want to add nothing to it. We just want to get that filter to be nice and clean. I'm going to take a sample out of our cup that we took earlier. You can notice this is settled out pretty well already. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stir this up. And I'm gonna take a 10 milliliter sample. Once I feel confident in my stir job, take a 10 milliliter sample, and then I'm going to put it on the filter pad itself. Basically what that's going to do is that's going to take out a lot of the water, so you're not going to have to cook off an entire 10 milliliters of water. I use 10 milliliters. Some people use more, some people have bigger filters, some people have thicker sludge or thinner sludge. You can use however many milliliters of sludge that you want, and you should be able to calculate out your number from grams and milliliters to milligrams per liter. Put my sample in a tin that I'm going to use to cook this off. I already have the oven going. Right now our temperature is at about 290 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit, or 145-ish Celsius. So that water, you're wanting to boil off the water off of this filter pad, basically. I'm gonna put this in the oven while we do this. The temperature that you're looking for is the highest temperature that you can get, where you're going to cook off water, but you're not going to start burning off sludge. If you start burning off sludge, you're not going to know how many bugs that you have in your mixed liquor system. You're going to be killing the mixed liquor, and the mixed liquor is not going to survive. Is not going to survive. If you burn off any of the mixed liquor, then you have an inaccurate number. So you want to get it hot enough to where you're cooking off water, and you want to cook off water fast, because you don't want to waste a bunch of time waiting for the oven to cook it off. I mean, ideally, you'd have all the time in the world, and you just put it at 100 degrees, 105 degrees Celsius, and just let the water boil off eventually. But I mean, I don't really want to spend that much time babysitting the oven. I got other things to do. I got lift stations. I got influent building. I got bar screens that need to be raked. I got other things to do. I can't really just babysit this all day, hoping that the water cooks off before I get off work that day, basically. So when our sample is done, I'm going to grab it out of the oven. Well, actually, I'm going to open up my desiccator. So what my desiccator is for, in some places I have a desiccator, some places won't. A desiccator basically creates a zero humidity environment in there. And so I'm going to let it cool off in the desiccator. And while it cools off in the desiccator, that way it doesn't start absorbing a bunch of moisture. If you just let it sit on the table and you live in a humid environment, or there's any sort of humidity in the air, that filter pad could start reabsorbing moisture into it. If you start reabsorbing moisture into your pad, you're going to get an inaccurate number. So I like to keep it in the desiccator. I like to keep it out of the open air as much as possible. I want to go fast. I want to get it done. So after you've given the sample a little bit of time to cool off, it doesn't have to be ice cold. Realistically, you don't want to be handling the tin that you're boiling this water off with. You don't want to be touching that with your hands, or burning yourself or anything like that. But I mean, also why I have tongs, but realistically, I'm going to just take this. I'm not going to touch this, especially because I'm not wearing gloves. Always wear gloves. I should be wearing gloves right now, but I just, you know how it is. So right here I have the sample that I took earlier. I know it looks different from the one that I pulled out of the oven, and that's because I'm using a little bit of editing magic to be able to make this video faster. I got a zeroed out scale. I'll open the door. I'm going to set this down. This number here, we're going to call that 21. All right, so I mean, what we have is we have the two numbers that we calculated out. You have your 1895, that's our tare weight. That's what the filter weighed before we added any solids to it. And we have 2160, which is what the filter and the cooked off sludge weighed. So if we subtract those numbers, then that means we have 0.0265 grams of sludge that we cooked off. So then, I mean, you're going to want, don't forget that we took a 10 milliliter sample. So now our fraction is this 0.0265 grams over 10 milliliters. So I'm actually, what I see that number 0.0265. I already know what my mixed liquor is because I've done this a million times at this plant. I know I don't even have to factor in all of the factors to go from grams per milliliter to milligrams per liter. It's already calculated right here. I know exactly what my mixed liquor is. I know what the final result is. It's 2650 milligrams per liter, which is a good number, especially for this extended aeration facility. Basically, I just have to prove it because I'm a little weird about math and whatnot. So if I divide these two numbers, then I would get 0.0265 grams per milliliter. So in order to get from grams per milliliter to milligrams per liter, I need to convert the grams to milligrams by multiplying it by 1,000. And so what this will do is this will cancel out your grams, cancel out your grams. Now we're in milligrams per milliliter. Then if we multiply this by 1,000 milliliters per liter, this milliliters will cancel out with this milliliters, and it will leave you with, if I could draw a circle, it would leave you with milligrams per liter. So then, because, I mean, multiplying, dividing by tens, you should just be able to move the decimal point over 6 and you should get your answer. You could just put it in the calculator and get our final answer of 2650 mil. So, I mean, aside from that, the other things that you need to know is that you should be wearing gloves. I'm a dumbass for not wearing gloves. I mean, anybody can take any amount of sample. I could calculate that number out. If I took a full liter, I could calculate that out. If I took, 1 milliliter, the more milliliters you use to calculate out your number, the more accurate you're going to be to the exact liter. I mean, obviously, the most accurate way you could do it is if you took all million gallons that I have in both aeration basins right now, and you put it through a massive, giant filter, pulled it all the way through, cooked it off in a giant, enormous pizza oven with this massive building-sized filter paper and whatnot. I mean, obviously, that's going to be your most accurate number because you're going to account for every corner of that tank. I mean, obviously, you're not going to do that. If you did 100 milliliters, you're going to be closer to your exact number. But if this is off, 200 milligrams per liter, who cares? I mean, I know that the number is good and we're in a good place and we can start wasting at a more consistent rate instead of trying to shock this plant. That's it. Have a great day. If I missed anything, it's probably because I either edited it out because I felt like I was making myself look like a dumbass, or I was just talking too much about shit you didn't need to know about. Yeah, have a good weekend, man.